Yay! Hi to you guys, and welcome with me, the 40K Empress. And here with me, represented by this lovely Witcher logo, is Quinn. So, hi to you, Quinn, you OG Warhammer
Yep.
fan, you.
Yes. Just expanding our genres a wee bit now.
Yeah, so we have gathered here today to once again cover what Endymion did to the Warhammer news. So basically, he pooped on the news once again, and I have covered this before because Endymion just has the knack of sometimes being, well, not objective at all and actually talking out of his butt. This is not very professional to say, but I would express myself in this manner because he does this actually quite a lot and he crosses a few lines. Yeah. What do you think, Gwen, actually, judging by what he did before?
Oh, he's par for the course. He's consistent. We'll give him that.
Yeah.
Talks out of his backside.
Yeah, and we're going to prove to you how. So we're going to take a look at his latest video, which came out today, a few hours as of me making this stream, and we're going to, well, at least talk through most of it, because at the end of it, somewhere in the middle of it, he's just continuing with his thesis that Warhammer, because Amazon did Rings of Power, then they're going to totally ruin this, but at the same time, they did Secret Level very well. But it doesn't matter, I guess, because we're going to just ignore that totally, and we're going to just say for a fact that they're going to ruin everything. So we're just gonna get to the meat of the video, not the whole thing, because through the rest of it, he's just continuing with the hammering on whatever he wants to push, and that's how he did before when the news that the Warhammer 40K show came out that actually they have up into the end of December to reach some kind of a deal between Amazon and Games Workshop, and I said that this will probably happen, and that there is no reason for us to think that it would not happen. Still, it was possible to not happen, but he, Arch, John De La Rose, and some other people were pushing very, very hard that for sure, for a fact, that this project is not gonna happen. And when it happened, only days after that, like a week after the news actually broke that is happening, he's making this video now. So this is a bit of a context for you guys, but if you want, you can always go back and watch my previous videos about how many things he just, yeah, said straight that are a fact and they weren't. So yeah, the matter of the ways that he is speaking, I mean, for the guys that are like back there on the last row that always say stuff like, "Oh my gosh, Gary, this is this is just speculation. Why do you get your pennies in a bunch? Well, because I have to explain every time that speculation is one thing. If you say explicitly that yes, this may happen or that may happen, but it's very, very different when you try to intentionally push something as a narrative when you express yourselves with words like I guarantee you, I damn guarantee you that this or that will happen because they are this and they are that, when sometimes that is just not the case because we don't have the information to claim stuff. So a claim, yeah, Quinn, if you like, you can add something to that because every time it's very difficult to explain what is the difference between how you try to be impartial and just say what could happen, like really speculating, and what is the difference between you pushing it, how he does and how Arch already did, how John De La Rose already did. So yeah.
No, you said it very well. It's just expressing opinion or expressing fact. When you start expressing facts when they're just your opinions, you're not being truthful.
Mm. That's what I found to be as disingenuous. Okay, I'm playing the video now. That's enough blabbering, because people need a lot of context. Otherwise, they're going to start throwing tomatoes like this, which I
As long as you're
understand.
not in the pillory.
Yeah, I mean, I understand as a viewer as well. But, if you watch Metatron is one of those guys that I always try to point out as someone that really tries to be absolutely objective and impartial and just say the things the way that they are when he counts the facts. And he even called out ENDYMION for something before for Ghost of Utah, because once again he was talking out of his butt and claiming things that they were not based on anything really that is substantial enough for anyone to make a claim, but he did. And Endymion, not Endymion, sorry, Metatron called him out on that, not even knowing who Endymion is and what is his content about. And I'm watching Endymion every day. So he has the same impression as me. That's what I mean. Even if he only watched one video because it was about topic that he cares about. So yeah, playing the video right now. And let's see it.
It's ENDYMION, and there's been some major updates surrounding Warhammer 40K and specifically the live action series. Yet there's some very alarming parts of this entire story that I barely see anyone even talking about. Beyond this, I want to also look into how Amazon's other IPs are painting a picture of what we can expect here and why I don't think it's all sunshine and rainbows.
Well, this is his first speculation. I mean, everything that he said right here. It's basically like they're painting a picture. No, they're not doing anything. Like, absolutely nothing right now. But we're gonna get to that.
And then finish with a grave blow to the games industry as Gamergate 2 ravages the entirety of everything. It's crazy, and we'll get there. Firstly, it's official. Amazon and Games Workshop have reached an agreement finally when it comes to their Warhammer 40K live-action universe. They had a whole year to get this down, and they took their sweet time with this because it came down to the very wire here before they could agree on anything.
Which, once again, we established that this is a huge universe, and Henrika even said it. I said it 500 times, so it's normal for them to take a whole year. I mean, Quinn, if you want to add anything at any time, just go for it as well.
Will do.
Okay.
So far, he's giving facts, but then he starts injecting his opinion as facts. It comes very shortly.
Exactly. It's just very like seamless, and you can be very misled by that.
Indeed.
Had the year gone by with no results, the deal would have broken off completely is what I've been reading. So at least they got it done. However, there's a really worrying aspect here that not enough people are realizing. Let me show you. This is from cityam.com and it's titled Games Workshop, Amazon buys rights to Warhammer 40K. Yes, you read that right. Amazon bought the rights to Warhammer. No, your eyes are not deceiving you.
Well, that is misleading again, because they only bought the rights to bring the universe to the big screen or whatever screen really. And then they can also bring the Warhammer Fantasy to the screen. But once again, it is very clear from Henry Cavill's messaging and what we know from before that they already agree on how things would be, so they cannot dance on the head of GW and do whatever they want with the IP. They cannot. They already agreed upon what it's going to be like, so because he's gonna push that they can do whatever they want in just a few minutes. That's what I'm saying.
As the report suggests, Games Workshop has finally admitted and accepted Amazon's terms after a year of negotiations. These creative guidelines are finalized and set in stone. Whatever they agreed on cannot be undone now. This deal also exclusively allows Amazon to profit off of any associated merchandise that is created in partnership with the future films or TV shows as well.
I'm not sure about that. Where did we hear about the merchandise? Not sure. Maybe in the GW report? But even so, it's fine. It doesn't matter. I mean, they can distribute the merchandise in their site. A lot of things
GW is the merchandise.
Yeah, they have their own merchandise, and it can be sold at Amazon, which is already happening for years, so...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which could be a good thing, but it also means any future Space Marine content made that has any connection to Amazon's show, they now get a hefty cut in profit from when it comes to Games Workshop's acceptance of this very deal. As these analysts said, this update was largely expected, but it is the important final step in bringing Warhammer to a global audience. Looks okay so far, I guess, right? Well, it gets more concerning as the article states here. Amazon also has the option to license equivalent rights in the Warhammer Fantasy universe following the release of an initial Warhammer 40,000 film or television show.
Well, that's not concerning on its own at all. It's just as concerning as anything else, really. you know. And Henry Cavill's still there, leading everything. So if it's not that concerning for 40K, it's not that concerning for Warhammer Fantasy, right?
I don't think so. It's just bringing another aspect of Games Workshop's product to the open market.
Yeah. So nothing again. It's a nothing burger of a concern, basically. I mean, when somebody says, "Oh my gosh, this is very, very concerning because it's Amazon," I'm like, Henry Cavill, guys. Henry Cavill. He looks very calm. His words on Instagram were super reassuring that they did their best to talk about all the aspects possible of Warhammer 40K and what to be brought to life, how to start everything that encompasses. And he would not agree to anything that is against his principles, and we know that. So that's a lot more. That has a lot more weight than any other concern that we may have because Amazon is a woke company. They also want to make money, and they also made some things that are good. So it's not all doom and gloom. And we all know, once again, it's a false analogy with the Lord of the Rings thing, because we don't have the books to rely on. I mean, they don't have the rights to that. They just brought something to life that was nothing, and they made it another thing.
They made it worse.
They made it worse, but they had such a freedom because there was nothing really there to begin with. So they were just like, I'm just gonna do this and that, and Galadriel, I'm just gonna pull new Galadriel out of my butt. So yeah, it's not based on the Lord of the Rings books. They didn't have to follow strictly a storyline or characters. They were just like, we're just gonna do whatever the heck we want. And the same with the Wheel of Time. But you see a show like Reacher, and it's a big muscular guy that beats people up. And it's
Based
cool.
on books.
Yeah. So they can do that. And there was other shows, but because I'm focusing on a lot of things at the same time, I cannot like list all the shows. But there are other shows that were pretty fine of Amazon that were not like screaming woke at the screen or anything like that.
No, the Terminal List is another one I recall.
Mm.
With was it Chris Pratt?
Ah,
Yeah, he's the guy that played in Guardians of the Galaxy as
yeah,
Star-Lord.
yeah. I just don't know the show, but I know that they did a very cool alien movie with Chris Pratt.
Yes,
It was very
but
fun.
Amazon being a woke company, well, that might be changing very soon because according to what I've seen on the news, Jeff Bezos is starting to come around and getting rid of the DEI, and he might start shopping people from Amazon, and that may reflect in the quality of the shows that we get in future. So there is still hope for Warhammer 40K not being woke, and it might turn Games Workshop around from steering away from that course as well. A lot of companies are getting away from the DEI mandates and the message.
Yeah, especially with Trump now.
Exactly, and it all kicked off because of Elon Musk and Trump.
Exactly. So I have a lot more hopes because
Hmm.
I think that they would want to keep the IP intact. And as we see with the
Yes.
Secret Level episode, they just did what it's based on, well, the universe, the game, and with some Sam Pedersen work there and, sprinkled around his style at some parts, which is great. And he's a Warhammer fan, so they took someone that actually knows Warhammer. They didn't took someone that doesn't know anything like they did with the Lord of the Rings, uh, Rings of Power. I always forget how it's called. They just like totally fired the specialist, and they were
Yeah.
like, "Hey, you crappy people that don't know anything but love to put diversity into everyone's asses, come here to the show. Yes, thank you. Yes, you, the specialist, you're fired." uh,
Yeah, Henry, I think, is very protective of the Games Workshop Warhammer IP. And if he stays true to his word, I don't think he'd do anything to jeopardize Games Workshop's interests, never mind Amazon's. Yeah, a treat and a privilege that he can make something to represent Games Workshop. But I think, and this is again my own speculation and understanding what I understand of the man,
Yeah.
he is going to put his interests in Games Workshop ahead of Amazon's, I think, when it comes to representing Games Workshop on the big screen
Yeah, he
or even
already
on the
did.
small screen.
He already
Yeah.
did because they signed it. He's pleased. Very
Yes.
obvious. Obviously.
But I think
pleased.
what we'll see when it comes to actually making the show, he is going to try and keep it as close to the original IP as possible. I might even think, and this is just me speculating, not saying for fact 100%, that like ENDYMION, there's going to be no female custodies and they're going to be retconned out of the Amazon world. Let's make that claim right now. Just to counteract Endymion. No, I think he'll try and stay as close to the IP as possible. They may use the Black Library as inspiration for stories because it sounds like that's what they did when they were having their think tank discussion groups. I think it's all very positive going forward. But again, I'm saying I think. I can't say it's fact.
Yeah. Okay, let's continue with the video.
This means, effectively, that Amazon now has a say in what happens within the Warhammer universe at large across the board. This is not good, guys. I understand people are happy that we're getting Warhammer shows and whatnot, but I'm finding myself at a loss here to outweigh the negatives from the cons. The reason why is because Amazon is a very progressive company, like pretty much every other corporation, let's be real. These companies have in the past, when doing these sorts of deals,
You gotta
taken
stop
IP
it there for a
that was
second.
considered
Yeah.
He can't even speak English properly. The negatives from the cons.
Yes, the
It's the
negatives from
exact
the
same thing.
negatives.
Yeah. You mean the pros from the cons?
The negatives from the negatives. It's all negative in his head because that is how he makes content. He relies on the negative only. But yeah, to continue.
Yes.
sacred and then injecting their current deisms into it. A great example of a similar deal of this magnitude going down is, of course, The Lord of the Rings with Amazon. We all know that
Here
the
we
Rings
go.
of Power unfortunately exists. Pretty much nobody likes it either. The first season did horribly, alienated fans, and broke canon just to ensure a girl boss Galadriel was the main character, even though we all knew she never fought in any battles prior to or after this show's events. She was simply made into a badass warrior and presented as the hero because Amazon and the progressive producers over there were not interested in giving fans what they really want,
Yes, but once again, that's a false analogy.
but instead using something with a pre-established franchise to push their moronic agenda through. This is why stupid stuff happens, like Sauron apparently having a thing with Galadriel, even though this has never happened in the books. But you need that sexy tension to keep the female watchers watching apparently, even though that's downplaying what female Lord of the Rings fans actually really want.
Yeah, I mean, since when women demand such a thing, they just want the story. I mean, I just don't get that. But okay, I mean, not all women just wants to see romanticism everywhere. Like it's kind of the opposite even sometimes because it detracts from the epicness and it just doesn't need to be there. It's great on its own, but just doesn't
Yes,
need
but
to be there.
the way the writers are writing it right now, it's all about the shipping of Galadriel and what's his name? Sauron or
Sauron.
whatever it is. And that's the other content creators that are into the pop culture, that are heavy into Lord of the Rings, even say that that's all the story is. There's no actual substance and content. It's just how hard can they ship these two characters. And it's our speculation that the whole reason is it's to placate or to write for the modern audience, which is the left-leaning wackadoodle woman that has cats all around her and no relationship. So this is how she gets her jollies off.
That's very sad. Okay,
It is sad.
continuing.
Even though Amazon tried to spin the story that Rings of Power Season 2 was doing better, it still wasn't meeting Amazon's nor fans' expectations. Because they bastardized the source material to fit a modern agenda. The only reason they cared about Lord of the Rings was because people knew what it was already. You really didn't have to do much to get people invested because the groundwork was done for you by better writers and storytellers already. And even with those amazing prospects and springboards to leap off to greatness with, Amazon managed instead to not once, but twice screw up their Rings offerings and fail fans. So circling this back to Warhammer, there's a reason why I'm explaining this to you because all of this is simply deja vu all over again.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Just I just hate the half truths, you know. I mean, to compare something that's not supposed to be, is not the same thing, it's not the same situation, to something else, and just to try through that to push whatever he wants to push. I just don't
Well,
like this dishonesty.
it's the conflation because Amazon does have a track record of making poor decisions when it comes to big IPs. But then again, so does Disney. So yes, it is true that they've made a really bad show out of the Rings of Power or Tolkien's work. They've made a bad thing out of the the Circle of Time. There are big IPs that are very near and dear to our hearts that have been destroyed because of Amazon's work. He's twisting the conflation of our concern for that, and it could happen. And that's what he's not exactly saying is it could happen to Warhammer 40,000. Yes, it is something to be concerned about, but it is not fact that it will happen. There are other forces and things to consider to say that it may well be the other way around, that Amazon could do something very good with this. We just don't know. That's the difference. So it's partial truths with bullshit thrown in on the side. And that's the problem. It's separating the two.
Exactly. And besides, when you think about it, this secret level episode, it did not involve anything of the sort that would be involved. I mean, the group of people that would be involved, it does not involve Henry Cavill. He's not there to steer it or anything, and they still did a great job.
Yeah.
So there's that.
What Games Workshop has agreed to here with Amazon is almost identical to what happened with Lord of the Rings. Games Workshop was so desperate to get their franchise in front of more eyes for profit, they effectively are willing to make a deal with the devil if it means more people know what Warhammer even is. This is scary because seeing what Amazon did with Rings, this doesn't fill me with any confidence that they could do this as well. Of course, the one unique outlier here is the secret level episode of Warhammer, which in case you didn't know, that
But that's his
episode was a
opinion.
direct
Yeah, and it's so scary. I mean, the big words, it's scary. It's very scary. Yes, sure.
continuation after the events of Space Marine 2, and it even has Captain Titus in it. It was dope, it felt like Warhammer, and it looked amazing. Now, if that's how this all goes down, consider me a happy guy. I got no
Lieutenant
complaints, 'cause
Titus,
that
but anyway.
Yeah.
episode was just badass from start to finish. The tone was right, it took itself seriously, and there was no stupid nonsense in it. And it even had diversity. Wow, imagine that. It's almost as if diversity just happens naturally when you don't make it out to be something on purpose. Everyone was happy with that secret level episode, but let's be real, I don't think that's going to be the quality of the show per se the entire time.
Okay, how this is, let's be real. How is this real? It's the opposite of real. That's not being real. That's like, let's push my own thoughts as facts here. Rephrasing.
My big worry is that Amazon will Rings of Power Warhammer into an early grave. Let's also not forget that within the last year of these discussions going on, that some weird stuff has happened in the meantime. For example, Games Workshop officially made female Adeptus Custodes canon with their show The Tithes. In all her Giga Chad Chin glory, Games Workshop promoted and confirmed something that only a few years back would be considered sacrilegious to fans of Warhammer.
Well, now it's also considered sacrilegious. So it's going to be considering sacrilegious, but yeah, we'll see what's going to happen with female custodians. That's still something that it cannot be excused in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. What do you think?
Time will tell. Like I said, I think Henry is going to try and stay true to the IP. He may very well disregard the whole female Custodes thing. It is his favorite faction. Jeff Bezos is cleaning house, from what I've heard, when it comes to the DEI stuff. Maybe those writers that wanted to push that will be gone. That might happen for the same thing for the Games Workshop board. They might realize that DEI does not pay and it's not worth pursuing anymore. It's better to start writing good stories and make entertainment that people want and will buy, because Games Workshop does like to turn a profit, and so does Amazon.
Yeah.
And all the weird stuff that's happening as well. The biggest weird thing to happen is that we now have a Republican/conservative government in the United States, and the rest of the world may follow suit. Happening in Europe, It's happening in Canada, hopefully very soon. If you don't know anything about going on in Canadian politics, big things are starting to happen right here in Canada with our politics, hopefully leaning towards the right. Hopefully this will be the nail in the coffin of DEI, and we won't have to look at that Chadley chin anymore.
Exactly. And I just want to pay attention to the comments because they have to, I mean, they did pile up a bit. So
Yes.
I want to say hi to everyone in the chat, guys, officially. You know that we are trying to focus on the video because we have like 5 more minutes of the video. It's 17 minutes, actually almost 18, but we cannot go through the whole thing. Like I said at the beginning, we will go through the meat of it. So 5 more minutes of the video, which is gonna take a while. So let me look at the comments. Also, it's wokeify. Ah, you mean that I mistaken the word in the title? Damn it. I'm gonna fix it after the stream. And Nightbane Kazier says, what lies has Endymion spit out to our reality? Well, yeah, we are discussing that, and thank you so much to dear Clayton for the feedback of the sound and everything else. Thank you so much. Daniel says, MD is worse than Karen. Well, I won't say he's worse because Karen is Karen, but people like to say that because he has good sources sometimes and because he gets some things right, that means that his integrity is absolutely perfect, but that doesn't mean that it is. I mean, of course, that if he can get real news delivered to him by people from different companies, that's gonna be great. He's still gonna win. It's a win-win situation, but that doesn't mean that he cannot push the rest of the time other news that he's not even clear on how things actually stand, or even if he can still choose to push whatever he wants. So that is what he actually also does, you know. Nightbane Kazer says, in Cavill we trust the Emperor's light is behind him. Exactly. Mr. YouTube says, even though Cavill has full control over the production of Warhammer 40K shows, I will still remain vigilant, considering the fact it is Amazon, but that's my opinion. Okay, Mr. YouTube, that's fair. Of course, I mean, we don't say, we don't actually say that we have to amazingly, awesomely just trust Amazon. We say that when we are measuring the objective facts so far, we also don't have a reason to be panicking and go with the words like he does. I mean, like danger and whatever he said.
Well, exactly. I mean, Amazon has shown to have a track record of destroying beloved IPs. And yes, that is a concern, and it is a possibility. It could happen to Warhammer 40,000. However, there are other things to consider over and above what we know so far about Amazon that are pointing towards it could possibly be good. We won't know until we see it for ourselves. That's it.
Exactly. So it's better to be like impartial and still count what is a fact than be like super negative or super positive.
You can hedge your bets and you can keep your expectations low. So if it is rubbish, you won't be totally disappointed. You'll be disappointed, but it won't be a big surprise. And if you keep your expectations low and they come out with something fantastic, well, then you can have a huge happy moment and feel really good about it.
Absolutely, yeah.
You've got options.
Exactly. So I'm reading like for myself now what you guys said really quick because we don't really have a lot of time. Nightbane Kazier says, Endymion, your laziness in video editing is showing. Putting cinematic or trailer clip while showing no personal gameplay of the games he's showing. Yeah, well, that's his personal thing because he is producing a lot of videos. He's making a video every day. Sometimes not, but most times every day. So I understand that he doesn't want to show himself. So there's that. Really cannot say anything about that because it's really a creator's choice about time and all those things. Matty says, Endymion is talking bullshit again. Say who GW sold Warhammer to Amazon. It go woke. I'm so done with Endymion videos. Also, hey Empress. Hey! And Kazier says, ironic he claimed Space Marine 2 was woke before the game released, but after it sold 5 million copies, he changed his tune. Yeah, how about that? Did he ever apologize for that? No, he did not apologize for that slander, as you call it. And he didn't say, "Oh no, I was wrong about 100% Amazon GW scrapping the deal." He did not say that because this is the video that he was supposed to say that, but he didn't. And if Amazon does it like Secret Level with Warhammer, I will be happy. Yes, and thank you, dear Clayton, for the heart. Okay, and Night Kazier, sorry, says, agreed, I played the game. It was a testosterone masterpiece. Yes, and I hope 2025 is the end of DEI, says Matty. Yes, absolutely.
Well, it might not be the end, but it's definitely the beginning of the end.
Yeah. Okay, continuing.
It's the Siri Witcher thing all over again.
Oh,
Women
no,
can't
Siri.
be Witchers. It's been that way for years, but now suddenly they can be Witchers. Why? Because it's progressive, you bigot. Stop being a sexist or whatever buzzwords need to be thrown your way to ensure that.
No, though this time he's not correct. You can
And
say
that's
why.
where I said, tell me you don't know anything about a subject without, knowing anything about the subject. He hasn't read the books.
Yeah, and the game has their own lore. Well, they do. So if they can come up with some way for Siri to become a witcher, and some people, of course, said that she's too old to become a witcher and to get through the trials of the grasses, all those things. But if they have like very good writing to explain that,
Oh my goodness, there's 8 books that actually show good writing about how Ciri is actually foreshadowed to be a witcher.
yeah. I mean, even in the games that was foreshadowed.
Yeah. She is an exceptional being. She's not your typical woman. She's got special properties that are unique to her that allow her to become a witcher.
Yeah.
Why is that such a big surprise? It's not like we're trying to make female space. Oh,
No. It is not. It's just not the same thing because there's a
no.
lot of basis for Siri becoming a Witcher that has been, like you said, foreshadowed in the games, in the original lore. For me, it was obvious, and I'm not even the most religious fan of The Witcher. And for me, it was absolutely natural progression to her character. It was written all over everything, games and books.
Yeah, especially the books. Every step of the way, you're thinking, you're going to be a witcher at some point. And well, here you go.
Yeah, so this
So
is again.
they must, yeah.
Why?
Exactly. It's just not knowing the material, but just I think he's taking material from other people that are banging that drum that don't know, and trying to make it fact when it isn't. They don't know the subject. It's like he's a Warhammer 40K tourist.
And Witcher.
And a Witcher tourist, yeah. Whatever's the big next pop culture thing to, get some clicks on and promote his channel.
Yeah, and Kazier says it very well. He says, why is Ciri considered woke indie? I thought she was trained by Geralt and her lore expanded upon years ago.
She's trained by Geralt. She was trained by Triss. She was trained by Nenneke, who is the female herbalist historian. She was trained by Vizier, who is Geralt's teacher. Trained by Geralt. Trained by Yennefer. She's been through her. Right now, what I'm reading is her time with the rats. So she's learning how to kill and experience what killing is all about. Yeah, she's got some experience under her belt, and some of it's good and some of it's bad. But suffice to say, to be surprised that she is destined to become the witch because of the fact that she's got elder blood, which makes her unique for a human. Come on. And she's also the child surprise, which adds additional unique properties to her.
Yeah, that's so cool. I actually love that.
Yeah. Oh, no, la, 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 she can't be a witcher because she's a woman. Well, it doesn't even say in the lore that a woman can't be. It just says it's extremely difficult and they haven't had any success in making a female witcher yet. And they even have minimal success making boys witchers, but they've had success with them. Again, the word Ciri was written to be the exception right from the beginning when the author started writing those books at book 1. But oh no. No, it's
Yeah.
not the same as being a female space marine or the Chadley femme stoties.
Yeah, it's not the same. Sorry, Endymion, you cannot compare it. It's once again a false
Equivalence.
equivalence. Yes.
You allow the things these people want to come true. What's been going on for years now, in case you haven't noticed, is that companies have been overrun with activists. Amazon is no different, they're everywhere in this too, and all of these properties have been getting nudged little by little, inch by activists to keep moving the goalposts, hoping that you don't notice. First, you see the official Warhammer account confirm that female Adeptus Custodes exist, even though they haven't actually prior to that. Then people go, oh, don't worry, it's just a rogue intern on the Warhammer Twitter page until it isn't. And suddenly there's a massive diamond chin breaking woman who looks like she eats people walking around and is now considered canon officially. But the texts have said for years there's no female Adeptus Custodes. How could this suddenly out of nowhere be something that happened? Even though it's never been mentioned, but they've actually always existed even though they were never mentioned before. Don't ask questions, stop being a bigot, and keep giving us your money like the good peon you are. Look, I would want nothing more than a great Warhammer series. I really would. Why in the hell would I want this to suck? To make money on YouTube? It's crazy, because my more popular videos are almost always me praising.
Oh, please. All of the videos actually that, I mean, the quantity of videos that are most successful are about the negative stuff. That is how he gets popular, actually. It's not, maybe, you know, these videos like have 1.4 million, 1.7. Okay, but that is not what he makes the majority of the time, and that is not why his channel has been growing. So this is not, once again, correct, so to speak.
He's not being honest
No.
in that department now.
There are only 4 videos that he's showing, and he has a ton of the rest of them that the channel is all based on. Oh, it's laying all those videos. It's relying, like,
Now, to be fair, but at least they're honest about it, there are other pop culture channels that talk about similar things. They'll all admit when these IPs make crappy shows, they make lots of money from it, and new content creators can be generated just to talk about how shit the show is or what they're doing. But when they do see something good, they try and put it out there, but it doesn't get nearly as much coverage and spotlight as the negative stuff that's on available today.
yeah, and everyone knows that. So to be this this dishonest,
He's being
where
disingenuous.
yeah, when it's absolutely obvious for absolutely everyone how his channel has become even popular, I don't know what to say, you know.
Games rather than criticizing them. Why the hell would I not want that here too? A healthy, thriving community with good content is always better for business than a destroyed one anyways. I don't want Warhammer's live action shows to suck the same way I don't want Witcher 4 to suck. The same way that I love Dragon Age, but then Veilguard happened and I felt like I got my teeth kicked in by people who don't care or know what Dragon Age even is when they made that game. Like always, these sorts of things are destroyed, manipulated, and warped not because these people care, but it's because they
It's kind of
saw
rich
something
him talking about that.
Yeah, considering that he's doing the same with The Witcher and Warhammer.
Exactly.
made by people better than they'll ever be when it comes to creating something. And instead of making their own thing, they just hijack what is already there and use it to push their stupid commie beliefs. Of course, we are probably at least 2 to 3 years away before we see anything actually materialize out of this deal. I understand that. However, let's not be stupid and ignore the objective reality that in the meantime, Amazon now pretty much has the power within Games Workshop beyond any of this. There's no doubt in my mind that between now and whenever we get our first actual real look at whatever it is that they're making, there's going to be subtle changes to the lore of the series that feels out of place to fans that will be popping up.
Why would you say that? And is that objective reality? Again, he's stating things as facts. His opinion is a fact. Okay.
My most obvious concern, and this will likely happen if I'm being honest, is that Amazon has and will push Games Workshop to forcibly inject female Space Marines into the franchise no matter what.
Okay, he's being honest, Quinn. That's called being honest.
Yeah.
No words? Is anything Dean ever said is that Elden Ring video any bit honest? What? Is anything Dean ever said in that Elden Ring video any bit honest? Ah, well, what I mean, he's right about how Amazon made the series absolute a crap show, but he's not right comparing it in the same way to Warhammer 40K because two different things. One is empty, that being the or the Lord of the Rings thing. It's empty. It's not the books. And the second one has a huge company behind it. Has huge lore behind it. Has Henry Cavill behind it, who is very, very genuine and very, very serious and loves the IP. So it's totally different things.
There is no doubt in my mind, dude, that this is going to exist and happen at some point. I joked for years that it's only a matter of time before CDPR makes Ciri a Witcher despite being a woman, and lo and behold, it happened anyway.
Because it's supposed to happen. Okay. This guy is rich. Yeah.
I told you guys they'll be removing male heroes like crazy for female ones for years, and I keep, unfortunately, end up being right about this as well.
How is this correct, by the way? I mean, you can play with the guy in Gears of War. You play with the guy usually. You can choose a woman, but that was like years ago as well. I think she was always there, kinda. Well, I'm not perfectly an expert on Gears of War, but I mean, yeah, I always play with the guy. So what's the problem she being there? No one knows.
Too. And now we're left with the Space Marines, the wildly popular best-selling product out of Games Workshop. There is no way in the holiest of hells that Amazon did not make this a demand of Games Workshop. There just isn't. I am beyond convinced that at some point in some book, animated short, hell, probably the Tithes show that they got going on already, somewhere, some way, somehow, they're going to have a Marine take their helmet off, and it's going to be the ugliest, most decrepit depiction of a woman that you've ever seen.
Yeah, sure. So he is convinced. Like, remember, guys, that he is beyond convinced. I just want you to remember that. Okay?
And he's injecting his opinion, trying to make it a fact that it's going to happen. And again, he's talking out of his ass there. And that's why we nicknamed him Walking Eagle, because he's too full of shit to fly.
That's amazing. The walking eagle, too full of shit to fly. It's just amazing to repeat. It's so funny. I do imagine an eagle that is stuffed with. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Bonus points if it has a septum piercing, probably a bald head. It'll, unironically, be the intergalactic main character chick, but in Space Marine armor. And you
Yeah, that's horrible. I forgot to make a video about that, but that's horrible on its own. But yeah, it's another topic. It has nothing to do with Warhammer, so yeah.
can bet your sweet butt cheeks at some point they'll add transgender Space Marines too, because what even is gender these
Is
days
that Abby
anyway?
2.0?
I guess so. The new Naughty Dog game, they decided to make, to create a super bland NPC, unattractive woman for a main character. I mean, she's looking like an NPC somewhere in the crowd in the Spider-Man game. That's what this screams to me, this design.
If men and women are exactly the same in every single way and pronouns and genders can be changed out and switched like they're Pokemon in your roster, surely they can do trans Space Marines, right? Hell, give them the trans flag pins on their armor too, and suddenly everyone in the Adeptus Mechanicus will be women all of a sudden as well.
I mean, he just pulled all the extremes out of his butt and just like put them on the display. Yeah, that's what happened. Holiest of Hells, Endymion, are you secretly a chaos worshipper? Yeah, you sounds like it.
The little baby freak things that fly around and help the Space Marines will suddenly be incredibly diverse too.
How? Just freaking babies, you can't even tell what gender they are.
But don't worry, every bad guy will still be a white man, of course, like always. Maybe a white woman once in a while.
He doesn't even know what they're called. They're called cherubims.
Yeah, and besides, there's a lot of Xenos races that are super mega diverse in Warhammer 40k. So how is the bad guy a white guy in Warhammer 40k? Does he even know what he's talking about? Xenos? Chaos? There's... What white guy? Like who? Okay, Abaddon. That's normal. It's perfectly fine. It's not whoa.
Things up, and they'll throw in a diverse person of color every now and then as a villain, you know, just to keep you on your toes, only to reveal that in the end they were being manipulated and they're actually just misunderstood. And then the actual villain is some white guy who's pathetic like they always do. My god, guys, I know I'm being cynical here. I mean, what do you expect? It's me. For God's sakes, this channel's description says it right there that I'm cynical.
A commentary channel from the mind of a cynical man. So that is his excuse for not being genuine. Right. Okay.
Too, so what do you expect? But the fact that I've been proven way too many times to unfortunately be right.
When?
You can be cynical and still be genuine.
Yeah, well, he doesn't get that, I guess. But I mean, he could be right once again for things that are actual news for the people that call him from a studio and say, "Hey, Ubisoft, the Ubisoft guys are buttholes." You know, that could be correct. But anything else, like the bulk of his videos are actually most of it is absolute speculation presented as facts. His opinion presented as facts. He's making videos that he's trying to hit that 20-minute mark most of the time, around 20 minutes, 18 minutes, 20 minutes also. I mean, that is his strategy on YouTube. So he's gonna talk and talk and talk and talk, and that's it. But the news takes only 5 minutes to read. So there's that.
When I so desperately want to be wrong, it does not fill me with confidence. Well, at least Henry Cavill is happy about it. He posted about this via Instagram where he said, "To celebrate some Warhammer news, I decided to make a pilgrimage to the very first place I bought Warhammer models over 30 years ago, the little shop on my home island of Jersey. My incredible team and I, alongside the brilliant minds of Games Workshop, have been working away in concept rooms breaking down approaches to the enormity and magnificence of the Warhammer world. Together, we've been sifting through the plethora of incredible characters and poring over old texts and tomes. Our combined efforts have led us to a fantastic place to start our universe, which has been agreed upon by those up high at both Amazon and Games Workshop. That starting place shall for now remain a secret. Watch this space, though more to come in time. So, place your bets, gentlemen and ladies. Where are we going to be starting this universe in live action proper? Some have been theorizing that it's going to be the Horus Heresy because it's obviously a big event where the Emperor gets attacked and wounded greatly by his son pretty much. It's complicated.
It is his son. Well, that's like another topic right now, what is happening. But you know what I was thinking? I'm thinking that the description of his channel, that he is a cynical guy and all of that, I don't know when he wrote that. I kind of feel like he wrote that very recently. If anyone knows or paid attention, let us know. Because I wouldn't be surprised if he's watching the previous videos that I criticized him, because I don't see anyone else doing it. And he was like, "Oh, if she's saying that, maybe somebody else will think of that. So let me just make some kind of excuse to just say, well, I'm this way, so what do you want?" I will not put past him if that's exactly what happened, actually.
If you don't know, the Primarchs are like the sons of the Emperor pretty much, and then there's Space Marine chapters that spring off
They are. It's not pretty much. Okay.
the DNA of each of these Primarchs. So Horus is one of those Primarchs. Think of them like demigods, if you will,
he's
and
just
the
using
Emperor
filler
is like
words
the
there.
god of man pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obvious that they will eventually do the Horus Heresy. There's no way in hell they don't do that because it's so significant to the overall universe of that franchise, but I don't think they'll start there, because the Horus Heresy, to me anyway, feels more like where you would end a series, or a season at least. Like you would end the season with the Emperor gravely wounded, Horus defeated, and then the fallout from that expands and then creates new stories.
Yeah, I kind of get the feeling that he have watched at least a few videos of discussions about this, because what he's saying is based on a lot of things that we have talked about as well, and other channels have talked about. It's exactly like what we have said before. So it's very interesting that he's mentioning that.
Starting there
Yeah,
could
but
work.
they're not original thoughts coming out of his head.
Exactly, that's what I mean, that they're not. He's basing this on stuff that he watched, because the way that he's explaining that is just very, very specific to what we talked months before.
he's like an NPC. He's taking the latest downloads of better content creators than himself.
Yeah, well. Okay, so guys, I really have to go. It is very late my time, and as I said, we're going to get through the half of the video. We are past the half of the video. Now he's just gonna continue with that, and then finish with again something, like a big outlandish claim or something like that was at the end of the video. I don't remember exactly, but it's usually what he does. He follows like something like a movie 3-act kind of a structure of the videos. Anyway, point is that the only reason that I'm also doing this, and I with Quinn, I mean, we're doing this, is because we're just sick and tired of a guy that is a tourist trying to push negative viewpoint on something that we don't know if it's going to be negative, and he does not count objectively the positive facts that are also there, also exist, not even knowing that things at Amazon may actually be changing, as you Quinn said. So if you don't take that into account and you only take other stuff that are negative to account, which are false equivalences, false whatever that was, it's just totally not objectives, the opposite of objective. So that is why, guys, we just want to open people's eyes to that, because there's many people that are trying to get into Warhammer 40K. They're going to click on ENDYMION and hear all the other stuff and be basically brainwashed to think negatively that everything is woke. And here we are, such a case right now with Siri, where people just are told that it's woke and they are not even thinking for themselves. They're just seeing Siri as this horrible, ugly person, and she's a woman, and she's a witcher, and all those things, where reality is absolutely different. Just go back and check the lore of the games and the books and see where things were going, and you're gonna see that they were going in the direction of she becoming a witcher and she being an exception. And then how she looks is exactly like how she would look after years of experience plus different engine. And her face is not masculine, it's feminine, it's beautiful, and all those things. So yeah, Gwen, anything else to say for the end words, like final words?
I think that is correct. You got to think for yourselves and just look at the evidence that's being presented. Now, it's nice to have a show like this where we can help present it to other people, because we do get easily blindsided and thinking one way because you hear something drummed over 100 times, 50 times, 1,000 times. You start to believe it's fact. But if you critically think, you can arm yourself against that and realize that not everything is woke and not everything is, wonderful. There is reality and there is fact. You just have to find it.
Yeah, there's always an opposite powers that are fighting, against the woke, the other powers that are fighting for the woke. So it's not one-sided. It's not like we should think this way, that everything is corrupted already and there is no chances in hell that things are gonna get better. It's just the opposite. Things are getting better, actually. So we better see that.
Well,
Now,
it'd be nice to see it coming into Warhammer 40,000 and Amazon. And
yeah.
the groundwork and the foundation of that being able to happen is starting to come about with the uh, election in November, and people realizing that not everything has to go the way it has been for the last 10 years. We can turn things around. Hopefully, Amazon and Games Workshop, seeing the current political climate, what's going on in Europe, the United States, and hopefully Canada, and later on Britain, whatever. Hopefully, they'll realize that it's time to start making entertainment for people to enjoy and not having the message forced down our throats.
Yeah, and the other thing is that actually, yeah, about the female custodies, this is the only thing that is still very bad. It is
Agreed.
still very bad. And I don't know if they will address it. So that's like a woke win, let's say. They have that. But if everything else stays the same, it's still gonna keep the integrity of the whole universe. So there's
Well,
that.
they may never admit it, but I think if they swept it under the rug with the whole Femstoties thing, as in they never mention it again, that's basically a tacit agreement that it doesn't exist. It was just a a blip, an aberration. It was Tzinch playing a prank, and it's just injected into our minds that there's femme studies, but no, there isn't. That's my
Yeah.
story. I'm going to stick to that.
Yeah.
My head canon.
Absolutely. Okay, so I just have one last thing to say to you guys, just a sec. Okay, so I do. Oh, in the future, guys, let me know in the comments. Do you want topics like when is Erebus going to die? Because he's a prick. Who is the biggest embarrassment of a Primarch? Who's the worst Primarch? That's all different
Logar.
topics. Logar, okay. Thank you for that. And something very special, actually. Quinn, you can help me with that, maybe. Analyzing the last moment of a Primarch's life. Like, for example, Rogodorn. So, focusing on a last moment that we know of a Primarch that either disappeared or died. That's an idea that I have. It's
I'll have
interesting.
to do some reading.
Yeah, we all have to do that. But I think that's an interesting idea because I haven't heard anyone talk about this.
Oh, there's also Ferris Manus.
Yeah, Ferris is
And,
the first to fall.
Yeah.
And that's also
Here's the
interesting. Who died when? Like Ferris was the first and then who died? You know?
What would be really interesting to talk about is the two that have been stricken from the record.
Yeah, I know, but everybody have talked
Very
about
little
them.
information. Yeah, but there's also very little information either way. It's all speculation.
Yeah, maybe we can mention them in between that, but finding which is the last moment, like a detective, if detective is investigating somebody's death or disappearance, they will focus on their last moments, you know? So that's my idea. Okay, and quickly to say to everyone that are interested in my educational content, not Slaneshi content, not Slaneshi content in Warhammer, in OnlyFans, I'm going to do this week actually 4 videos. One is about the girl that slept with 100 men, and how wrong is that? That's gonna be a very interesting topic discussion. That's why OnlyFans is good for such topics discussions because I can talk freely and not be censored. Second, should you go to a therapy for couples if you ever need one? I mean, if you ever have a problem in your relationship. Third is what does it mean to be in a rush in a relationship if a boy or the girl is depressing the other to, go faster in the relationship? That's also interesting. Signs that you are for each other or not. Literally signs. What are the red flags that you're for, that you're not for each other? So those are the 4 videos that I'm going to do this week. Hopefully are interesting for all the people that want help in that department and just want some entertainment in that department about the relationships and everything else. So that is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you, Quinn, for joining me here. And we're gonna come back with something hopefully very interesting next time. So, Quinn,
Yeah, it's a good show. Thank you.
thank you so much. Okay, guys, bye. With me, the 40K Empress and the amazing OG fan, Quinn. Bye bye.